Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're going to spotlight Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD Remaster. So, this game, Oddworld Stranger's Wrath by default, came out in 2005, which puts it to being a 12-year-old game. It is the fourth in the Oddworld series, with the Oddworld New and Tasty being a remaster of the first game, but still being too close of a remake. It's not a remaster, it's an actual remake of the first game, and it has some clunky controls still, and sadly there seems to be just bugginess in all 5 of the games that have been released on PC, so there's no playable. You may notice though in this attract screen, this looks nothing like Oddworld 1, Abe's Odyssey, Oddworld 2, Abe's Exodus, Oddworld 3, Munch's Odyssey, which was went to 3D graphics and was still a platformer and such. This now is a first-person shooter game. Just out of nowhere, the 4th game in the series becomes a first-person shooter. In fact, in the last spotlight for the 3rd game in the series, I said so many modern games are first-person shooters that it's hard to find a platformer on PC, and that's very much the problem here. So this game came out in 2005. It got remastered in 2010 to HD. That's what we're looking at. It looks really good. It looks better than the 3rd game. Unfortunately, the latest patch for this game, which I'm seeing some reviews that are very recent that say for a lot of people this game just instantly crashes, so we may go to a new game and it may just like crash right at the beginning. The newest update on this game is 2011. So there is a 5 years difference between the last time they cared about fixing this port or doing anything to this port. So they think it's perfect, basically. And yet they're still working on the 3rd game. And the timeline is really important here, even if you're not following it. The fact that you're not following the timeline is the important point here. This series is a mess. You have the first 2 games that are 2D platformers. The 3rd game that's a 3D platformer. The 4th game that's a first-person shooter. It's all over the place. There are better options now. We can go between 1 and, well, 0 and 10 on the audio. Subtitles have been introduced in the 4th game in the series, which is good. You may notice, though, that the game speak options aren't on the main part of the game anymore. Your settings, whether you want to flip the Y or the camera Y or the camera X, so invert the Y axis, are here, and your sensitivity is here. The controller, there's a little launcher before this that sets it up to 1080p on my resolution, and turns on anti-aliasing to 16 times, so that's features we haven't seen in any of the previous games. And it allows you to pick the controller, and we can see right here they know that you're using a 360 controller. That being said, if you look to the right where it says rejuvenate, health, reload, jump, there are green dots a little to the left of that on each button. Those green dots are not pointing to anything. So best I could figure from this is, if I kind of have to just guess that the Y button does GameSpeak capture bounty, which the GameSpeak system is the one thing they've been proud about and stayed mostly consistent throughout this series from what I've seen of it. The X button rejuvenates health, I think. The B button reloads and the A jumps. That kind of makes sense. You can go from first person aim weapon on the D-pad to third person camera control. And let's see, it looks like inventory is the back button and punch is the right bump, but I don't, or the right trigger, I'm not even sure. Maybe left bump actually is first person or third person. This menu is a mess too. We're running into a lot of things that are a mess. And as far as extras, they've got the nice menu here that's simple. None of the artwork has been unlocked right now. And the only movies we have are the credit and the attract mode, which we've already seen. So let's see how this game works. We'll play on easy. So this looks amazing. It's the first time we've seen a cutscene in 16:9 in the series. The graphics look good. These little furry guys that we saw in the previous game look furry in the animation. I'm hoping they look furry in the game too, because that was a big issue. And we're playing as a new character that very possibly is not going to have any connection to Abe at all. We're playing as the stranger, who is this Western style of creature that's going to run around and just shoot. We can see a lot of graves of the Mudakin, I believe is what they're called. So it almost feels like this might be set in Oddworld like years later. Past the point of Abe's Odyssey. This looks like a new species. I haven't seen this one before. Little lizard creatures. Or they kind of look like baby Mudakin or dwarf Mudakin. For that one section we got black bars on the top of that scene. I don't know why. You can see the stranger does kind of have some fast maneuverability, running on all fours and climbing up. But this isn't a cutscene too, so how much of that really shows up in the game, we're not sure. The concept of using these guys, those little furry guys, as weapons is continued. And he just shot a spider that tied him up with spider web.
Never liked guns. Oh man, why'd you have to do that? No, look, you don't need to do that.
The voice acting here sounds a lot better than the previous games. And we're just going to get an on-screen tutorial instead of having to walk up to spots and press A and interact with tutorial sections. And let's see, they're telling us immediately you can invert the camera controls because people will complain if you can't invert the camera controls. And you can move.
Bounty this guy.
And once, let's see, and they're not telling me the right buttons though, so move close to the fallen outlaw, then facing him, press and hold Joy 3 button, which I thought was this. No, it turns out it's the X button.
Get 'em. Guys that get to town, turn in this bounty.
So we're gonna capture people and suck them up into a vacuum cleaner, almost like Ghostbusters, and then turn in the bounties. We're in this walled off section right now. His jump considerably smaller than what we saw in the previous game for Abe. Abe could do that, but he has a double jump, which gets him about to two lengths of his own body height. So that's not too bad, but it's really floaty and really slow. Look at just how slow that is. But being a shooter game and not a platformer, that won't be as big of a concern. So as we're here, I need to make the confession. I was gonna get new and tasty, but the reviews saying it's not, it's buggy, and the video showing me that it's so similar to the first game, which is just so old school and built around the concept of dying a lot, would be incredibly frustrating. So since I don't have any nostalgia for the Oddworld series, I'm just kind of trying to gracefully bow out of this. I don't think I'm ever going to play the Oddworld series. The new one, Soulstorm, will be probably a decent thought of a remake of the second game, but see, this is slightly higher than one jump. You're still very much going to have the chance of, for larger jumps, run to the edge and then press A while in the midair. Press A again, so double jump vertically. That certainly felt odd. This looks good. These games might run better on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox, but the PC ports seem like bad ports that they don't care about. Climb a rope, press this when you're next to it. Alright. And then to get off a rope, just jump. Okay, I can figure that out. Now we have to... Oops, I'm stuck on a ledge.
Gotta get up that ledge. Time to jump.
I've done that quite a few times. Where old games, if you can see the bottom, fall, then falling will not kill the stranger. That's an interesting way to explain a system like that. Fence is destructible.
Yeah, these outlaws gonna try and keep me from getting to town.
So, joy axis 2, press either the joy axis 2 button or the joy axis Z button. So, left trigger to break things, or the right trigger seems to be a headbutt thing. And oddly, this D-pad up is moving the camera in just a little bit. It's auto-saving, checkpointing. I don't like how this controls at all. That was not fluid motion.
Oh, what the? That was cheap, punk ass.
So they've gone from odd.
Shake off and heal.
Let's see. To heal, I have to hold what button? Oh, the Y button heals. Interesting. To spin.
Down. Now I got the bounty in.
And which one was bountying? This one. So this is very much like Banjo-Kazooie in the spinning idea. And there have been some remakes of Banjo-Kazooie, or they're working on a remake of Banjo-Kazooie. One or the other, I don't even remember which. And I think I'd prefer to play that than have a shooter element to this. The chipmunk will lure enemies to a fire. It has limited range. Press the joy button. And so now it's gonna be this set people up to
Gotta get this clown onto that wooden platform.
So did I get it?
Oh, shut your mouth, you little rat!
Press 6 to switch from third view to right view. Seems like we could change our weapons now in this mode. What button is joy button 6?
Best to bounty this guy.
This button is first person shooter to that. And that's the right bump. So it, unless I'm misunderstanding,
Whoever grabs the bounty hunter wins a prize. The prize is I won't beat the piss out of you.
like, it really feels like the buttons are in the wrong place compared to what they told me. If we come back and look at the options and the controls, and it's always worth looking back and seeing if this, like, because I can't understand and be certain of that interface, like, I'm having to learn the buttons anyways. Quick save is here, save load, no restart level. I imagine that is simply going to be a case of this game just doesn't really work that way. Here I want to try this. And
got the outlaw. Now I got to get to town and get paid.
you see, he seems to talk whenever I hit this
Got
button.
to get to town, turn in this bounty.
The reticle in the middle screen will change for each ammo type. It will turn red when the target is range of the loaded weapon.
The bounty hunter has been seen making his way through the facility. Nab him before he gets to town.
Hold to reset the camera. So left bump resets the camera. Across the pit, grab the horizontal rope and then do hand over hand crawling on that. Was there any reason to go down there? No, that's just there in case you fall.
Who the hell's over there? Who the hell's over there?
And see, that doesn't work. And just do a little bit of a spin as I'm falling. You can see in the left section where the map is, we've been spotted, which means there's a stealth element to this game, which that too is an unwelcome addition to a shooter. So now we all of a sudden have the spider. The Bullamite immobilizes the target with a web. Like, as long as you stay in the tall reeds, you stay hidden and are safe from detection. Your crossbow is a double barrel weapon, so you can load 2 critters at the same time. The Joy Axis Z plus and Z minus fires the right barrel. So in theory, this should hit that, and this should hit that. The Bullamite web is temporary, so we have to be quick about this. And then sucking him in before he breaks free. So the firing mechanic on the left trigger and the right trigger works. You can reload your ammo by pressing joy button 2.
Damn, these outlaws gonna try and keep me from getting to town.
Which I assume is the Y button. A simple patch right now would fix one of the major problems. Shoot a Bullamite there to bind him. Right.
Don't you think I know that? You can't see me so long as you stay hidden. That bounty hunter should be here any minute now. Yeah, okay, I get it. Stupid varmints.
So we wanted to bring him apart so that we could do this. Yeah. Maybe if this was the first Oddworld game, first of all, we're not seeing as much oddness, just because of the fact that he's fully clothed, where Abe is, and all the other creatures like Abe have all been just in underwear. So seeing their spines, seeing their weird curvy bodies. So let's fire a stance. You can bounty enemies while they're puking. And it doesn't seem like 6 captured alive and 2 have just been knocked down. And there's no like karma system, I bet, in this game or anything like that that we've seen in previous games. Fuzzle can be used either as a trap or fire directly at the enemy. Think of them as living mines with teeth. The fuzzles look really good. Do you really want to play a first-person shooter with a crossbow, though, with a spider and a fuzzy creature looking at you the whole time? Like, that is... And that kills all 3 of them, I believe. And it took control of the camera. Outlaw is coming through this door. In 10 seconds, place fuzzles around this door to set a trap. Okay.
Someone's coming. I can lay a fuzzle trap in front of that door.
To use fuzzles as traps, fire them onto the surface and enemy will walking in. So. That's 3. And we'll see if that works. And then capture dead creatures. Stranger
get to town and get paid.
Can collect money and he can swim, but boy, getting out of the water is an iffy proposition. And the graphics look good here. That ramp was necessary to get out of the water there. So if I fell back here, I'm not sure I'd be able to get out. There's this looks better because this game is older than the 3rd game, but then it hasn't been touched or patched. This is an interesting device because I wouldn't expect to see this on Oddworld, which then again makes me feel like this is set in some distant future. Just like I know technology existed in the previous Oddworld games. It's just it was different looking. So when I set this and I can switch him to different sides, so you can mess with your setup. You received a new Zapfly critter. Press the direction button to access your ammo selection. I just did that? Okay. But Zapflies. Load the Zapfly now. The Zapfly can either be used as a rapid fire weapon or can be surged to activate objects such as doors, explosives, and bomb barrels. Loads the Zapfly in your crossbow after it surges up, which it seems like it is. Allow it to some time to charge and surge up and then fire. So the surging up element is just a kind of reload feature. You've now learned how to use the basic ammo types. It's time to teach you how to hunt ammo for your own or find critters throughout strangers' world. Hunting them is how you get ammo from here on in. When you see critters running around the ground, they're sometimes flying in the air. Knock them out with this that fly and walk over there and pick them up. And I fired one before it was charged up, which means I didn't get as many as I should have. And we saw some of these, like, we're looking for Bolemite, and I suppose we can't get any further until we've done that. And so where are the Bolemites hiding? Hitting that doesn't do anything? I thought that might. Yeah, if this was the first game in the series, I would actually play this game. But it needs more work, too, because it's... Oops. It's just not fluid of an experience. And I wouldn't play a first-person shooter in this world in 2017 unless I either had nostalgia for it or it had a good experience. There's too many other first-person shooters. In fact, I am in the middle of recording Borderlands, which is a perfect example of that. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I'm up here, and unless there's some kind of weird thing I'm supposed to do, I was thinking maybe that would eat those and bring it down. And we don't take any damage on the fall at all. Interesting. I cannot, for the life of me, find a Bolemite. Which one is the Bolemite? Let's start with this. Fuzzies, Zapflies, Chipmunk. Bolemites is a spider. One. So where would spiders be? Here's a... They're just right there. But catching them is proving to be difficult. I guess you have to get a little bit closer. Wait for them to show up and then pick one up.
Gots to get to town, turn in this bounty.
Wow. You have to be really, really precise there for the spiders. That's a mess. Yeah. And see, this little frustration at the beginning of the gameplay is not helpful. Can I shoot in water? I guess I can. Not that it matters. Oddworld would be such a different game if this was the first game. We're not having the same story thrown down our throat for the 4th time. Dead enemies will rot away, so bounding them up quickly. 6 captured alive. I think this probably means that I can no longer capture anymore. This guy is rolling on the ground. And see, this is how the game is supposed to go. And see, I can't do anything until he's down. I can melee him, I guess.
Town is ahead somewhere.
And with money, you know you're gonna get upgrades. Probably more bullets, more destruction on your bullets, similar things like that. Getting stuck on the ledge when I'm trying to actually just fall off of it. Let's see, how do you run? Well, the D-pad in all directions isn't run. So, I have no idea how you do run.
Oh, hey, stranger. Before we let you into town, we gotta take your weapons.
Gots to take blisters to jail.
So he takes your weapons when you get into town, so you kind of know. Then there might be quest system in this. There might be other things. This looks really good, but this is the easy part to remaster too.
Go get your Moolah over at the bounty store, eh?
Like, it's really, really easy to remaster the cutscenes in a game if you have the originals. So, talk to characters, do this.
Excuse me. I need to know where the bounty store is.
Yeah, might want to look for the big sign that says bounty store.
Hey, come on, open that door. I'm getting off
And you
my
can't
phone.
jump in this section.
Now shut up, you moron.
How you liking prison, chump? You're real funny, Fuzzface. I'm laughing real hard with my brother knocking your teeth out.
And see, the exact same button, talk to people and open doors.
Need to find that bounty store.
And see, once we find the bounty store, I think we're done. These are chicken creatures. Let's see. Can we go to the general store? New items available. Seems pretty empty to me.
What do you got?
Hi, stranger. You get the rest of them outlaws like you bagged that one, we can get back on our feet.
So there's a whole system here where apparently they're not selling anything right now. What's this do? Much destruction lies ahead in a cutscene. See, this almost seems like the demo version of the game would have this. This is a great way to show what this gameplay would be, but it's not going to be smooth and fluid gameplay like that. That clearly was done for effect, and so me personally playing the game, I don't think I'd ever be moving that fast or ever shooting that fast. Maybe with upgrades and such, that eventually happens. Is this the one that says bounty? No, that doesn't say anything. This says bounty store. So what's the difference between a bounty store and a general store?
Hey, welcome to the bounty store. Hey, you must be the guy that bagged blisters out by the forest.
Yeah, it's true, but I'm looking for Doc. I need him to fix a problem.
Well, Doc's up in his Mongo office, but he'll be back here soon. In the meantime, I'll cash out them outlaws you captured, and I got a few more for you.
So we talked to him, and in the end it gets us $262, and we want to get this guy next time. And my Moolah is the name of the things. So I have money now. I could buy things if things were for sale. And we would be looking for Doc for this. If this played just a little bit more, I know I'm repeating myself, but if it just played a little bit better, I would want to play this game. So, but as it stands, being the 4th in the series, no. Like, skipping to this game and ignoring all of the history of the mess of the previous games, on top of knowing that these are bad PC ports that aren't running well, on top of knowing this one hasn't had anything done to it since 2011, which either tells me that it's works perfectly fine for most people, and it probably does, but it doesn't play well enough. What a mess of a series really Oddworld is. And it probably explains why people don't sing its praises so much that I've really ever been pushed into playing it before. It's also more of a PlayStation series, and I was more of a Nintendo person before I started playing on PC. But yeah, you can't play any of them. Unless you have nostalgia for the game, you just can't do it. Because I have no reason in my head at all to want to buy New and Tasty for $20, which is what it costs right now in 2017. And that is because I got for free Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, the first game, and played it and saw that New and Tasty is not a big enough reimagining of the first game to make it play well. Every single game has had problems. The second game, people on the Steam forums say is broken and unplayable. The first game, in my opinion, is unplayable because it's just too hard and it's doesn't have a good checkpoint system. The third game, maybe you could play that one. That I did at the end of that spotlight say, yeah, I would play that one if I was going to play New and Tasty and then play the new Oddworld game Soulstorm and then play Munch's Odyssey, which is the third game in the series. And then I was thinking I would play Stranger's Wrath. But, like, I'm not going to play New and Tasty. So, there's a kink in this pathway. There's no way to enjoy the Oddworld series as it. It's just the re-releases and re-releases and HD remasters and refreshed HD remasters. Obviously the creators of Oddworld are very, very much in love with this world. I think they probably have done a great thing with Stranger's Wrath to make it less, more relatable and less crazy, odd, and it feels like they have better writing and a general style, because the previous Oddworld games are half tragic, half comedic, and it just didn't ever seem to make any sense in my mind. But they need to just throw the whole thing out, really. Don't make Oddworld Soulstorm. This is such a weird thing for me to say, but they shouldn't be working on their next game. They're probably right about to release it, so it's too late now, but I would say don't make any more Oddworld games. Instead, take the story you want to tell, if there is an actual story in there that you want to tell, and put it out as a animated movie or an animated TV series and try to just tell it. You may, for them, even have to go down to doing a made-for-TV movie or a comic book series, even maybe a web comic, because there probably isn't enough people that are popularly thinking of Oddworld as a series. But as a video game series, it's a mess. And the new engine for, I believe this game is Unity. This kind of looks like a Unity game. Maybe we could see in the credits if we moved really fast through the credits. or New and Tasty was made in Unity. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them were made in Unity. Looking it over, it also seems like no less than 3 different companies made 3 different PC ports for the different Oddworld series. So the creators of the game themselves aren't even really making it, they're letting other people port it, which tells me that the video game creators of Oddworld are over their head and they don't really know what they're doing. That's an odd one here. Beta tester with his name in Chinese written. You almost, I don't think I've ever seen that before, where somebody has specifically had their Chinese or Japanese name written out in characters instead of it being just written. That being said, then there's a lot of fake names in the beta testers too. I wonder if this might have been a Kickstarter game, but I think it's probably too old of a game to actually have that. So yeah, originally developed by Oddworld inhabitants, but then ported by some other company. I'm not sure which one here. It's a real shame, as we'll wrap up here, and we'll just go ahead. It's a real shame when you try something new and it doesn't work. And certainly that you should try new things in video games and everything else in life. But this is a series that I had hopes for. I had hoped to be able to spend many hours playing this series and getting into it and finding a platformer that was interesting, and it's just not there. It's really a shame. I guess that's all I can say. So that's gonna be it for my series of spotlights here. Look how short the credits were, by the way. Like a very small team of Oddworld inhabitants. And sadly, they're gonna have to just, like, if they were ever to get this game series back on track, they would have to reboot the whole thing again. It would have to be the 3rd reboot. Just throw New and Tasty out. Throw the original, like, 6 or 7 games you've made out. And start over again. And while you're at it, don't set it in Oddworld. Don't set it with Abe, because he's too weird. And they should just make a new game. Frankly, that's it. Take the skill you've learned to this point, make something completely new. That's it for the spotlight. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.